Some of you might like to know a little bit more about our drummer.
Now going back to 40 years of Chick Webb.
Is drummer right? Is it okay to say drummer?
Pounding his pulsing beat into the hearts of all America.
You motherfuckers are fucking all over this joint.
You do your kind of drumming, and I'll do my kind of drumming.
I have no more time. You don't know what I love again.
The only things I care about in this goddamn life are me and my drums and you.
The official explanation was he choked on vomit.
You suppose maybe I could put the drums in your place and sort of drop in once in a while?
Now back to Gene Krupa's syncopated style shortly.
Get up there behind those drums, lean back, close your eyes, get right in the groove there, give it a good steady beat.
I got blisters on my fingers!
I'd hit that.
This episode of I'd Hit That is brought to you by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform that makes it fast and easy to create your own professional website or online portfolio. For a free trial and 10% off your first purchase, go to squarespace.com. Use the offer code DRUMS. Offer code DRUMS, all capital letters. Squarespace. Yeah.
I'm in Hollywood with Matt Laug.
Hey.
Thanks for coming by, Matt.
Thank you for having me, man. Beautiful place.
We were just talking about your arrival to L.A. It was 18?
Yeah, I was 18 years old in 1986. And a friend of mine, a guitar player friend of mine, we went to different high schools, but we played in bands and stuff back in my hometown of Florence, South Carolina. He hit me to Musicians Institute, and he said, hey man, when I graduate high school, we were 16 years old at the time, like juniors or whatever grade you're in high school when you're 16. He goes, yeah man, when I graduate high school, I'm gonna move to LA and go to GIT. I was like, what is GIT? So, oh, you should check it out, they got a PIT. I was like, what's PIT? It's Percussion Institute of Technology. I don't even think they call it PIT anymore, it's just MI now. So my friend told me about this place, and I said, well, that's what I want to do. And it was just an excuse to move to LA. I didn't even know if I was going to dig the school. I was like, I got to get to LA, because all my favorite bands at the time were from LA. And I thought, well, if any place to start a career, I think Los Angeles would be the place to, be the place to do it. So luckily at 16 years old, I made the right choice and moved to LA. And it turned out loving the school and so yeah, so not too far away from here. That's where I lived, in a little studio apartment with my friend and actually another friend, not the guy I was telling you about. But we both moved out here 2 weeks after high school graduation, and moved into an apartment complex on Yucca Boulevard in 1986. And believe me, it was Yucca. But I felt like I had just my first place, and just. It just felt like I moved into the Playboy Mansion. Yay! We get to leave Playboys on the coffee table and nobody can tell us otherwise. Have beers in the refrigerator. Anyway, that was it.
What happened to him?
He's back in Atlanta right now. He's doing great. He plays, he's a great bass player, but he really got involved with real estate back in Atlanta, and he's retired basically, and he just collects cash from his investment properties and goes on the road. He's with if I can remember the wrestler's name, it's a wrestler that has his own band, and Chris Jericho is his name, the wrestler, and he's a singer. Chris is a singer, and my friend Sean Delson, the guy I've been referring to, he's the bass player, and he goes on the road with Jericho, and then he's got his own band called Fozzy, and Fozzy has a huge following over in Europe, and so he just kind of kicks it in Atlanta, and then when the band needs to go play, he does it as a hobby, but it's still, his passion.
Sick.
Yep.
Sick. All right. Now, so MI, how long were you at MI?
Kind of like a year and a half, because I went to their summer session course, yeah. And that was like 3 months or something like that, and then I went to their full year course. So so what's that, 15 months or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. They only had that amount of time back then. This was back in 86. They might have longer courses now, but it was only there was the full year course and then the summer vocational course, I guess they call it. I can't remember.
Oh, okay. So you completed what they had, and that was it.
Yeah. At the time, that's all they had, and that's all I needed. It was overload. So
Was it?
Yeah, total overload. It confused me, and it was a good thing at the same time, because it was confusing because I was introduced to all these different styles, and at the time when I was 18 years old, I thought, well, in order to be considered good, you have to play all these different styles, and that was the confusing part, because I tried to, and a kid from South Carolina trying to play salsa music just doesn't happen. So
where were you when you got there? I mean, were you at a level of just playing rock and roll, or were you?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm still at that level. What are you talking about? Almost 30 years later, I'm still at that level. No, but that was the decision I made, though, was like, what am I trying to do? My passion is rock and roll music, and I mean, it's great that I learned everything that I did. I'm not knocking it at all. I'm really happy to have a little bits of that in my playing, but my passion and my heart is in rock and roll music, and just steady, good rock drumming. So that was the confusing part. And I, like a couple years after graduating from MI, I kind of saw through the clouds again and said, okay, I'll just go back to doing rock-based music. And but like I said, all those styles and everything that I was taught at MI helped my rock playing. So
yeah.
I'm really happy that I went through that.
So you were touching on jazz and
jazz, salsa, reggae, and you can apply that. That at least you can apply some of that stuff to rock. Not too much. You don't want to go too crazy. That you kind of like dilute the whole thing of being a rock drummer if you go too jazz or too reggae. But Stuart Copeland's a great example. Stu Copeland is not 100% reggae. He's like rock reggae. So that's kind of like, I guess, what I'm trying to, describe here, is that you can use the influences in rock music.
Sure. And who was there was it Joe Porcaro? And
the teachers?
yeah.
Joe Porcaro, Casey Sherrill, who was amazing. He was my private instructor. Great guy. Ralph Humphrey, Steve Houghton, Gary Hess. He taught me how to read, and I owe him so much.
You had no reading ability?
None whatsoever. And he had a great curriculum. He had his own book, and and I use reading. It's like I'm so happy that Gary Hess was my teacher, and he taught me how to read.
What, this comes up today all the time, or?
All the time,
all
yeah.
The time.
On all my sessions, and just learning stuff, and even not just reading, not even like writing stuff down. When I don't have enough time to learn a song and write it down, I can visualize what it looks like in my head, and that helps me memorize the song. Like at bar 8, it'll be a dotted quarter note, 8th note figure, and then stop on beat 3. And I can, instead of writing it down, I see it in my head. So you can't do that without knowing how to read.
Yeah.
They're coming for us. We got helicopters and sirens going on. I didn't do it.
We'll come out blazing.
Right.
So, that's interesting, because I've talked to guys where their attitude is, and guys who do a lot of session stuff, and they're like, nah, I don't really see that much reading. But you're saying the opposite. You're saying,
because that's how I learned the song. That's how I can get in and out really quick, and that's important. I'm not saying that I'm trying to get in and out for my own benefit. I'm just saying that when people hire me, they're paying for studio time and they're paying for my fee, and it's all based on the hourly rate. So and how much material we can get recorded within a 3-hour block or 4-hour block or whatever the session time is. So I will sit down, and somebody could either play me their pre-recorded music or sit down with just an acoustic guitar singing, and I'll sit down with my notepad and just write out the song and my arrangement and write down all the figures and blah blah blah. The first pass down, I usually listen to music twice. The first run through is just to get the arrangement. The second run through is to fill in the arrangement with drum grooves and important notes of where to stop and start and things like that. And basically it's it speeds up the process, and that's why people hire me, is because I've been told I'm fast, and I can sound like I can play the song like I've been playing the song my entire life without by just hearing it for the 2 times or something like that. But that's why, is because I can read, and I just kind of read it down and apply my feel onto the music, the written music, and that translates of course onto tape or on disc, whatever people are using these days.
Yeah. So it's not a case of people handing you a chart.
Right. No, I don't prefer that actually, because I'm stuck in my own ways. I have my own way of writing stuff, and it's more comfortable for me to, read my own writing.
Does it happen where guys hand you something
Sure.
and do you say, listen, can we just try it my way? Do
It depends on how well their chart is written. I don't have like a hidden hieroglyphics way of writing my chart. I actually do write out a proper chart. And some people rely on the software that writes out the music, and that stuff is just, it's not that happening, So it depends. If somebody hands me a piece of their written music and it looks good and legible and I'm comfortable with it, then yeah, I'll use it, and I'll just write my little notes on their chart that they've handed me. But then other times I'll be like, hey, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time, but I'm just going to write out myself really quick.
Right.
Yes, it's happened more times than not. I write my own charts, but there's been a few times where people have the chart and they'll hand it to me.
But this is stuff that's only happened, I'm assuming, by doing, right? I mean,
by doing.
Like, in other words, you got good at this, making your own charts and becoming quick at picking up stuff just by doing it.
Yeah, just by doing it. Yeah, it's been years.
There's no rehearsing this or practicing this.
No, just on-site learning.
Yeah. No, but I'm just trying to make that clear. Like it wasn't early on where you were. Did you break down records and stuff like that?
No.
Okay.
I've done that a couple times as an assignment over at Musicians Institute.
That's what I mean. But after that, you just just went into the real world.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And again, thanks to Gary Hess over at MI, he taught me how to read, and that's how I apply reading to all my sessions and live stuff. It's like if I get to use charts on stage, I'll write them out. And if you have a drummer that's confident, he's going to sound confident. So and charts make me sound confident, and they also help me learn the song. So I can look at the music and just kind of like remember how it looks in my head, and I can visualize the song in my head, and I'll apply my natural feel and stuff to the memory of what the song looks like on paper, and so that helps too.
Yeah. Now, what was the plan at MI? Did you see yourself as a studio guy at that point?
I told my dad. He said, Matt, when you moved to LA, I moved to LA to become rich and famous, and I'm still waiting for that. No, but so my dad said, so you want to move to LA, and but what if you don't hook up with a band? What do you do then? I said, well, I'll just become like a session player. But I just said that to calm him down. I didn't want him to worry about me. But it turned out exactly the way I, told my dad. It's like, I didn't join Led Zeppelin, but I am making a living doing sessions. So it was kind of in the works, kind of way back in the, my mind, but it ended up coming true, just becoming a session guy.
But the first plan was
to join a band.
Hook up with a band.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I started playing drums,
Yeah.
So
what happened after MI? I mean, what?
Okay, so got the couple of day jobs and worked at Guitar Center for, a couple of months. That didn't work out. I couldn't deal with that.
On Sunset?
Yep. And then my first break, my first professional gig was this teen idol named Tommy Page in 1990. Actually, I started teaching at MI. I became a private instructor. And so I was making a little money doing that, teaching at the school. And then I was doing the odd jobs of temporary jobs, telemarketing, Guitar Center, and not all at the same time, but, in periods. So then I got the audition for this kid, Tommy Page. He was older than me at the time. He was 22 or 23, and I was 20. He must have been 24. I was 22. So he had a hit at the time in 1990, and he co-wrote it with the New Kids on the Block. So he was riding on the tails of the New Kids on the Block success, and rightfully so, because he co-wrote the song with them. And we went on the road opening for New Kids on the Block for this massive tour in 1990 called the Magic Summer Tour, New Kids on the Block Magic Summer Tour. And we were playing Giant Stadium and my beloved Redskins Stadium, which was RFK back in the day. I got to play RFK, And and Tommy, this is how cool the artist was, Tommy Page. I said, Tommy, can I wear my Redskins hat on stage? He goes, yeah, sure. And it was the greatest thing because from the stage, it was during the day, we were playing our set during the day, so I could see everybody, like 40,000 people. And it was mainly all these little girls with their dads or moms. And when we walked out on stage, all the dads were like pointing at me, screaming, going, yeah, because I was wearing the Redskins hat. I will never forget that. Anyway, so that tour was my very first professional tour. And,
And you started off with stadiums.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Mm. And it was kind of nerve-wracking because I was like, how am I going to play? How am I going to sound playing in front of 40,000 people? Am I going to be nervous? Am I going to sound nervous? And it was a great learning experience. But yeah, right into the fire. The first tour, a big stadium tour. And we did that for about, I can't remember, 2 months. And then Tommy did his own shows, which were like, theaters. And actually we played the Greek Theater here in LA. So that was my first tour, and I came off the road thinking, okay, because back then it was, well, we're looking for somebody that has experience. When I go to audition or try to, like I would hear of Alice Cooper getting an audition, or Joe Satriani, not getting an audition, looking for drummers, Joe Satriani, Alice Cooper, whoever. Well, I'd send them my resume and my cassette tape back in the day, and they would go, well, we're looking for somebody with experience. So I thought, well, I've got the experience now. I just came off a huge tour, Not the case, man. Just because you have the experience doesn't mean that people know you. There was no internet back then. This is just like, well, I'm back to square one. So it was a huge pill to swallow when I came off that great big stadium tour with buses and everything I've always dreamed about touring, because I wanted to get on the road and live that dream. And I did it, only to come back into town to have to get a day job again. So it was pretty grounding, and I'm glad it happened, actually. So I worked at a print shop in Beverly Hills, and did that for about a year or two, and eventually I started to get work in town playing clubs and stuff, and I became full-time a couple years after. It was probably a couple years after that tour. Within that, when I got off the road, I got a day job, worked the job for about 2 years, and then I got little clubs here, gigs and clubs around town, and I became full-time, and I've been full-time ever since. So knock on chair.
Back then, at that point, are you? Do you have a shed? Are you doing all that? Are you doing?
Yeah, I would go to the school, and they would let me practice in there. And but then when I stopped teaching, because when I got off the road, I decided to become full time. I didn't want to teach anymore. I just want to be a full time player. So I lived in this apartment, and everybody who had day jobs, regular lives, would go to work. And I lived in a pretty small apartment complex. I moved to Glendale from Hollywood like a couple years after I can't remember when I did it. But anyway, I was living in Glendale, and it was about a 6 or 7 unit apartment complex, and everybody had day jobs. So I was there by myself. So I would play my drums in my apartment while everybody was gone. So that's where I was shed.
Nice.
It worked out.
That worked out.
Yeah.
So you were doing a lot of club gigs, you're saying?
Uh-huh.
What kind of club gigs?
The best in the world, man. I would go down to, I hooked up with my friend's band. It was a cover band, and we played in Manhattan Beach. And, just the women down there, and it was so much fun. Manhattan Beach nightlife is, because I'm still doing gigs down there because I love doing it after all these years. But it's basically, the nightlife in Manhattan Beach is like college frat town without the college.
Yeah.
So there's
and MILFs.
Exactly. Now it's MILFs. I've grown into that. But there's still the young 20-year-olds, and every time I gig down there, I look at these clubs and I go, man, because it's like a street, like a couple clubs.
Are you at Ponchos?
That's Ponchos. Yeah. I love playing Ponchos. Great band, man. And the people that go to Ponchos, there's no dance floor, but it's packed, and they just sit there and watch the band like it's a mini concert. They really, they can dance in their space, but they come to watch the band. So, yeah, I'm at Ponchos down at Manhattan Beach. And across the street used to be this club called Harry O's. And that's where I became full-time. I played there and a couple other clubs in Manhattan Beach like 4 nights a week and making $100 a night. So I was making $400 a week, and that was enough for me, So it was like $1,200 a month, and that paid all my bills and the good old days. But anyway, so yeah, I would go down there and have so much fun. And yeah.
So go ahead. What you're doing that?
Yeah. The next step after that?
Yeah, like what?
Yeah. What was it? Let me try and remember. Okay, so playing those clubs. Oh, the bass player in that band. I'm not even going to tell you the name of the band because it's cheesy. But anyway, so we're playing this club band in Manhattan Beach. The bass player is a great friend of mine, my best friend still today, is Lance Morrison. Lance started working with Glenn Ballard, the record producer, on some a girl that hadn't released a U.S. I believe at that time she hadn't released anything in the U.S. yet, some girl that Lance had been working with, and he would play me some stuff on cassette again way back then. Hey, check this out, she's really good. And we sit in his car on a break from one of these club gigs down in Manhattan Beach, and I'd listen and go, wow, that's really cool, man. Sounds great. She goes, yeah, man, and hey, you know what? They need a drummer now because they've just been using drum loops, but they want to record the record now, and would you be into doing it? I gave Glenn Ballard your number. I was like, yeah, thanks. That girl, an artist, turned out to be Alanis Morissette. And so Glenn was like, yeah, I got your number from Lance, and would you be into coming down? I was like, yeah, I'd love to. So, well, I tell you what, we'll do one day, and if the artist likes you, then we'll continue the rest of the record with you. I was like, great, man. So they had already used some tracks from Rob Ladd. They were using another drummer, a great drummer named Rob Ladd, but he wasn't in town anymore. He moved to New York for work. So I got the call, and I played on the rest of the songs that needed drums, and I passed the audition, as they say, for the first day. And Alanis wasn't there for the first day, but then she was there for the rest of the days, and that's where we tracked all the songs, and it became Jagged Little Pill. And thanks to my good friend Lance Morrison, I got to play on Jagged Little Pill, and that gave me my career. Yeah.
How many days does that take for you?
I think it was 3 or 4 days. Isn't that amazing? I haven't even thought about that. 3 or 4 days of recording.
Changed your life.
Yeah.
3 or 4 days. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild, isn't it?
I've never thought of that, Dave. That's killer. Yeah. But I think, isn't that crazy? There's a lot of stories like that. Like watching Sun City.
Yeah.
Sun City.
Which one? Is it about
movie.
The studio or
that Dave Grohl did?
Sound City, right?
Sound City, because there's another studio I work at a lot called Studio City Sound, and I've just mixed them all up. But anyway, Sound City, and Grohl was like, that one record changed my life. Well, in a much smaller version of that, yes, Jagged Little Pill did change my life for the better. And every time I get a chance to thank Alanis, I do. I'm just like, thank you so much, So.
And yet you had no idea.
None. How can you?
Zero.
Nobody does.
Just thought, it's this Canadian chick.
Well, I thought, man,
you liked the songs.
Yeah.
Right.
I was tracking, and me and Lance, the bass player, were in the same room, and I just looked at him, from across the room, going, this stuff is great, man. And I remember we tracked a song that didn't make the record, but I still have a copy of it. But of course, I won't, put it on. I wish you could hear it. I'm not going to give you the opportunity to hear it. But anyway, it's a song called Superstar Wonderful Weirdos. And that song we tracked in 1994, and I can still sing the chorus in my head. But the lyrics were so great. I remember tracking the song and looking over at Lance and laughing, not out loud, but it's going, because the lyrics were so good. Something like, the verse is something like, Johnny is a football star, but he drives a muscle car, but he really, really, really wants to be a ballerina. You know what I mean? It's like, oh my God, that's killer. Superstar, wonderful weirdos. Everybody's a superstar, but they got their twist on, what they want to become. You might think of one way of them being something, but really underneath they just want to do this. And in that verse, it was Johnny, the football star, driving a muscle car, really just wanted to be a ballerina, didn't want to be the football star, and that killed me. So I just remember not having an idea of how big this record, could be or is now, but just remembering this stuff's really good.
Yeah,
it's really good. And tracking the songs and watching Alanis and Glenn dance in the control room while we're tracking the songs. It was a beautiful experience.
What was it like working with Glenn?
Awesome. He was like, I've always heard of producers. That's where I learned that a great producer allows the session person or whoever they're working with just to be themselves, and as opposed to telling that person what to play. I mean, that's got its place as well. I'm not knocking that, but if you really want to get your money's worth, you let that person just be themselves on the recording. And Glenn Ballard was the first producer to let me do that. And because he didn't tell me. Like, perfect examples on the beginning of You Ought to Know. There's that little brush groove that I stole from Lou Reed, Walking on the Wild Side or something like that. Didn't know it at the time, but I was like, I got an idea. And if he didn't know, he didn't have that idea, so if he had been telling me the whole time to place his ideas, he would never have gotten that from me. If he didn't give me the opportunity to go, hey, I think I got an idea for you here, check this out. He was like, great, go play it. And it was actually in the middle of the song, and if you remember the song, the bridge is the only time that it was in the song.
Yeah.
Well, they clipped that and put it in the beginning as well. So they edited it somehow on because it was on ADAS.
Right.
So somehow
Right.
the magic of Glenn Ballard and Chris Fogel, who was the engineer, made that happen. So anyway, my point is that Glenn allowed me to be creative, and a lot of producers don't. And the producers who don't sell themselves short. They cut themselves short because they don't get, the creative side from the player. They think they have all the answers.
Now, you mentioned a lot of the stuff was done with loops.
Uh-huh.
So, for example, you're saying, like, if they're playing you what they have for You Ought to Know,
right?
Is it with a loop on
Yep.
it? Yeah.
Yep.
Was it similar, or was it?
It's exactly what you hear today. The demos that I got to play to in the studio, and he gave me the demos ahead of time so I can make my charts.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah.
So, they were exactly what you hear that ended up on the record, except I didn't play my drums on them yet. So, that's what you got. That's what I got, I should say.
Interesting.
Yeah, very cool.
And made me just think of those tom sounds too. By the way, when you were going over the other, I was thinking like those toms sounded great.
The toms?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was my Yamaha recording custom kit. Yep. And the snare drum for since we're talking drum stuff now, really drum stuff, was a Noble and Cooley 5x14, or maybe 4x14. I don't know the exact
whole
size
record.
of it. Yep. And I still have those drums, with the exception of the 10-inch. Okay. This is really detailed for you. Okay.
Geek out.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Exactly. Why not? It's a drummer channel. So it was, I still have some of the pieces because it's a sad story. Anyway, so it was a 16 by 22 inch kick drum. I believe a 4 by 14 Noble and Cooley snare drum. The Dave Weckl long toms. I'm not sure what the exact length is, but it was a 10 inch and a 14 inch floor. So 10 inch rack, 14 inch floor, small drums, right? I was playing small drums back then. And one ride cymbal, one 17 inch crash on the left, one 18 crash on the right, and a pair of 14 inch hats. And
that's the whole record.
Yeah.
A 10 inch and a 14.
And a 14 inch, yeah. And so that was the setup.
But I have to stop and ask, what was it about those? Like, was it that you were a club gigging kind of guy, and that was light and small?
Well, to tell you the truth, it was the only drum kit I owned at the time. So that was the decision why I used that drum kit. So, but the sad part is that, I didn't have drums and cartage back then because I only had one drum kit. It's like I had to use my drums for the club dates as well as, demos and stuff, so I would just bring the drums myself. So I kept the drums in my garage. The garage gets broken into one rainy night, and they stole the 10-inch tom and this other beat-up snare drum. So I don't have the 10-inch tom anymore, but I do have the rest of the drums.
They only stole the 10-inch tom?
The 10-inch tom, like a couple of beat-up old snare drums, and like this small 6-inch concert tom that I've had since I was 16, and had since I was 16.
What the?
Just people just grabbing
inside
and running.
job, you think?
You know what? I think so.
Because why would they just take the 10-inch tom and a few snares? Come on.
Why would they know there's drums in there, too?
That's what I'm saying.
So, yeah, I had the garage door
They're like, no, I've got a 12 and a 13, I've got those.
Right, all right.
Do you know what I mean?
I don't think it was a drummer going, yeah, I need to get that 10-inch. I just think it was,
Well, why not take the 22 kick? Why not take the 4?
Probably too big. I don't know. Too much weight to get in there and run. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, I did. It's amazing you said what you said, because I had the month previous, I got the garage door fixed by a company.
Oh, okay.
A month later.
Oh, you think it was the
garage door company? Maybe. Scoping out the place, staking it out, going, okay, yeah, we can fix this for you. Ooh, that's a juicy drum kit. What's that? Blah blah blah. Those are cases. They got drums in those. I think so. I think it was an inside job. Lesson for everybody out there: don't let anybody see what's in your garage. Now I keep
learn to fix your own garage. I mean,
that too. Why not do that? Clip it in the butt.
What's the answer?
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, so that was cool. Thank you for clearing that up of what you used.
Yeah, cool.
That's really good to know.
Yeah, man.
What was the finish?
Well, you ought to know.
What was the finish of the kit, by the way?
The finish. It's the black. The Steve Gadd black.
The Steve Gadd black. I love it. So you do that now.
Still have that kit. Well, what's left over?
What's
with
left of it?
The thieves.
Well, you have the cake in the floor.
I have
of that kit.
Yeah, it was 10, 12, 14, 16, 22. And
so you have all that.
I have all those other pieces, but for the session, I just used the 10 and 14. Now, the reason I use those small cases, small drums, which you said earlier, was it because they were too heavy and blah, blah, blah. The reason I use the small drums, the 10 and the 14, as opposed to the 12 and 16, which I use now, because of the weight. Carrying that stuff around in the clubs, I would use the smaller drums, and they were lighter.
That's where I was going.
Yeah, sorry.
I knew that.
I was thinking, well, why did you use that kit as opposed to another kit? I took it that way, as opposed to the smaller drums are lighter. Yeah.
But since that session, you're saying you don't really use those sizes ever again?
No. Once in a blue moon, I'll add a 10-inch tom for I did a thing for X Factor, and it was a country ballad, and you need those type fills, those long, different tone fills. Broom, broom, goo, goo. So I put up a 10-inch. So it was 10, 12, 14, 16, or something like that for that one session. But yeah, 99.9% of the time, it's a 12-inch rack, 16-inch floor, and a 24-inch kick. Yeah, 14-inch snare.
Now, so you did Jagged Little Pill.
Yeah.
Did Glenn Ballard start calling,
again and again?
Immediate? Was it
immediate? Let me think.
Or was it by the time the album was on radio? What was that like too? I was going to get to.
That's crazy. So I.
What was the first single?
You Ought to Know.
It was You Ought to Know. Yeah.
Again,
because I remember there was 5 or 6 singles on that or something.
Right.
I can't.
Crazy. Well, yeah, Glenn. I don't think Glenn called me right away, but yeah, we did some. We did a Stages record together. We did. What else? Well, we worked with Katy Perry, but I don't think Glenn's production. She went with she thanked Glenn for helping her out, but went with somebody else. This is her first record. So I worked with Katy when she was 17 years old or 18 years old, and we did some songs with Katy, but I don't think those productions made the first record. But yeah, we've done a handful of stuff together. If I think about it, I can't think about all the records me and Glenn have done. And we did something with Jennifer Lopez, which was actually a Pepsi commercial, and it was one of those high-end Pepsi commercials. And but it was mainly records. So, but I'm sorry, what was the question before?
No, I was curious if how soon that began to happen. Where
how soon it went right?
Yeah, Glenn Ballard, and did you become friends? Is it?
Yes.
Or is it a work?
Yeah, it's a working relationship. I remember when he got the Aerosmith gig, and I called him, or we talked somehow. We were on the phone talking about something, maybe line up another session. I went, dude, you're working with Aerosmith. Can I just please play a tambourine on it, man? Just to say I did. I played on an Aerosmith record. And he was laughing about that. But
and he didn't let you.
No, rightfully so, right? But yeah, we've done some stuff. I haven't talked to Glenn in years, though. But yeah, it was funny. I started getting calls from other people, of course, reading. Thank God they put my credit on the record. Otherwise, nobody would have known.
Did it seem to happen really fast?
No. It took about a year for people just to
from the release of the Jagged Little Pill.
Yep. To starting to get work.
So say 6 months after that, still nothing really happened.
Right, but I was living off the high of hearing myself on the radio and people going, hey, I saw, I would get phone calls, I bought the record, your name's on the record, that kind of stuff. So I was digging that, and
what about the tour? That never came up?
It did. This is another good question. Another part of my life that what happened is I got an offer, as we talked about in the beginning of the interview here, I started playing drums to be in a band. Well, I got that opportunity to move to London to join a band, my friend's band over in London on Virgin Records. And the opportunity to tour with Alanis wasn't presented to me, but they were talking to Lance Morrison, the bass player, who referred me to Glenn Ballard. They wanted Lance to be the MD for Alanis' gig. But Alanis, it's hard to think of Alanis as just starting out and only being able to pay her touring band like $400 a month, I think. I'm sorry, $400 a week, not a month. And even for me, just playing clubs, I just thought, no, man, I can't do that. $400.
Because you were already making that just in town.
Yeah. So Lance turned down the gig, but they asked Lance, well, what about Matt? And Lance told them, well, Matt's moving to London to sign a record deal. And they were like, okay, well. So I missed that boat, but I was glad to have, gone over to London and experienced that. And I lived over there for like 9 months. And it was so much fun, but just like all those rock and roll stories, the band tanked, but it was a great experience. And actually, Alanis called me when I was in London, and the phone rang at my flat, as they call it over there, and it's like, hey Matt. I was like, yeah, who's this? She goes, it's Alanis. I was like, Alanis, what the hell are you doing? Call me in London. She goes, because I'm in London. I was like, oh great. She invited me down to her gig. And it was one of her first gigs in London, and it was a club. Nobody knew who she was. I think her record company threw the showcase for her, and it was an open bar, and it seemed like people were there just for the beer than to check out the live music.
Right.
Because people had their backs to the stage, and they're all like talking over, and Alanis gets on the announcer, gets over there and holds up her CD, and is on the mic, and goes, okay, everybody, we got this new artist, and he's looking at the CD like he doesn't know her name. He's reading the album credits and going, this is Alanis Morissette, and her new record is Jagged Little Pill. Okay, let's welcome Alanis. And I'm at the board going, yeah, Alanis! And it was the first band, Taylor Hawkins and Chris Chaney and all those great players of her first band. And they killed. They sounded so amazing. I was so happy, man.
What did you think of Taylor Hawkins recently?
I think it's great. I loved his Stuart Copeland and Roger Taylor. I looked at his drum kit without even hearing a note of him playing and going, Roger Taylor, Stuart Copeland. Because he had, at the time, he had like a timbali or something. He had rototoms, like Roger Taylor from Queen. And he had a couple splash cymbals, and then he played and went, oh, definitely Roger Taylor and Stuart Copeland. He had the snare tuned really high, like Stu Copeland. And what a great drummer. Things worked out for him, okay? So, but anyway, so I was living in London, and I didn't even get the opportunity, because they knew that I had already moved to London, that I didn't even get the phone call from Scott Welsh, her manager, maybe still her manager, but they talked with my friend Lance and said, well, Matt already moved. So I'm not even sure I would have done it because the bread was so low, but that's nobody's fault to offer that amount of bread. That's just where you got to begin. It's all artists. They might have even been in a van, van tour. I don't know that for sure, but that's where you start. And as you said, I was making that money in town, and I made more money on my first tour, so I just used that as the bar. Well, I'm not going to make any less. I want to start there, and that was only $800 a week, my first tour.
The Tommy Page thing.
Yeah. So. Yeah, but I'm happy. I'm not, I'm happy for Taylor. I mean, Dave Grohl probably wouldn't even like my playing. Dave Grohl didn't listen to the Alanis record and go, I want that drummer. No, he saw Alanis live and said, I want that drummer. So, it worked out for everybody. I'm happy to have, be doing my gig, and I'm sure Taylor is too.
Now, you said it took a year, more or less.
Right. Yeah, it was crazy, because I remember people going, hey man, you're on that huge record, you getting calls? I'm like, no. And they're like, pfft. I remember Ralph Humphrey over at PIT, he said that. He goes, hey, so you getting calls, man? You doing records now? You get some work for me? I went, no. And he went, he kind of threw his hands up in the air and he went, what do you have to do in this town to get work? And I thought about it. I was like, yeah, he's right. But eventually I started to get the calls. And I can't tell you I can't remember the calls I was getting that,
those initial calls.
Yeah, I can't remember the initial calls, but I just remember singer-songwriters who bought the record, who were inspired by that record, wanted to sound something like that. So they looked at the credits and said, let's get Matt. And it was easy to find, so...
You had a website at the time?
No, there wasn't internet back then.
I was saying, how did they find you?
Just, I was in the phone book, I think I still am. But
I'm in the book. I remember those days. I'm in the book.
I'm in the book. Call me. And that's, and then friends started to refer me, he played on the Alanis record. He played on this. Oh, okay, blah, blah, blah. And that was, I didn't play any different before playing on Alanis' record, but it's part of the biz that you need that door to open for you to get that kind of work, or to get work, and it helps. It really does. I still use it today, and rightfully so. I'm very proud of that record and my contribution to it.
It's huge.
It's huge, yeah. I was living in London. I was checking my answer machine back here in L.A. because I kept my rental. I was renting a house here. It wasn't my house, but I was renting a house here. So I kept my house here in L.A. And I was checking my machine here in L.A. And all my friends were like, dude, you're on that record. It's selling like you too. It's like huge. And I'm like, what? Because they released it in America first before Europe.
Right. You're over in England, like
right.
missing the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. I had no idea.
Yeah.
So, it's crazy.
Blew the hell up, man.
Right.
It really is great stuff.
I was very lucky, very fortunate, man. Right place at the right time. That is so true, that saying. But you have to be prepared once that time comes your way.
That's the thing.
And the thing I was doing, speaking of being prepared, was I had this old RX-5 Yamaha drum machine, and I used to program. They had a bass sample in there, and I used to program like Earth, Wind, and Fire bass lines, like maybe an 8-bar phrase, and I would just play along to it, and just make sure it was locked. And I had percussion percussion programmed in there, and I would just play to it and just try not to flam to the track, and that was how I practiced, not ever knowing that I would be playing to drum loops, because this is before drum loops were hip. I think that record was, Jagged Little Pill was one of the main reasons why people use live drummers on top of loops now. And but luckily I was prepared. Had I not been doing that for years prior to that, I would have stepped on my dick and just probably been fired. But because I was playing to drum machines, and really, in a sense, it's the same thing, as playing to a drum loop.
That was your form of practice. You're saying prior to doing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Were you a chops guy? I mean, in that sense, were you?
In the very beginning, I was a huge Dave Weckl fan when I was 18.
You were a Weckl guy.
Yeah. But then I got fired from a top 40 band
for doing Dave Weckl,
because I was doing Dave Weckl and Dave Garibaldi from Tower of Power, and I had no other outlet to use those chops. Right. So we were playing Brick House, but I was playing What Is Hip underneath it. Yeah. And people turn around going, "What the heck are you doing?" So I got fired and went, "What am I doing?" Then I went and saw this great drummer named Kurt Biscara. I'm sure you're familiar with Kurt. Kirky B. Yeah, man. My friend, the guitar player, Pat Tommy, who was playing in the Tommy Page band, said, "You should come down to the gig tonight, man. I'm playing with Kurt Biscara." I was like, "Who's Kurt Biscara?" So, "No, you got to come down, check him out." So I was a huge Weckl fan. I had the Weckl set up from, the back in the day where I had the left floor tom and the splash cymbal and all the small drums and stuff. So it was like, man, if I could combine John Bonham with Dave Weckl, I'll be the greatest drummer in the world. I remember telling myself that. So anyway, I went to go see my friend play with Kurt Biscara, and
are we talking a club, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just a little club for a singer-songwriter, and it blew me away. It burst my bubble. It was like, I'm doing it all wrong, because all he did was lay it down, just, and I was going, all that kind of stuff, and Kirky B was just going, and I felt it. It wasn't like I was watching going, oh, he's not doing all that stuff. No, but I felt the difference, and I went, I'm doing it all wrong, and I was so depressed. I was like, and so I just got rid of all the other drums, and I went to the extreme. I was still playing these Manhattan Beach clubs. I was just bringing a kick drum and a snare drum, hi-hat, and a crash cymbal and a ride cymbal.
Yeah.
And just playing groove. And I remember drummers who happened to be drummers in the club, they'd walk up to the stage and go, "Hey, man, I got a floor tom in the car. You want to borrow it?" I was like, "No, I'm cool, man. I'm cool." But it became stagnant. I went to the extreme. I wasn't playing any fills. And the guitar player turned and goes, I remember it was so funny. Randy Mitchell, a guitar player for Donna Summer for years, who later got me the gig with Donna Summer. We did like 9 shows over in Asia. So I'm playing, and no drum fills, no dynamics, just don't move, just play straight time. He's playing a solo or doing something, and he turns around, he looks at me, and he says, "Is there a problem?" And I just woke up and I went, oh, I'm doing it wrong again. And I went to the extreme of like no dynamics, no fills, no music, just playing straight ahead time, because I thought that was considered good. I was trying to recreate what Kirky B was doing, but of course, Kurt was playing music, but just playing solid drums. So I went to the extreme, and then eventually started to add the drum, the floor tom, the rack tom, but I didn't go any further than that. 1 rack, 1 floor, snare, kick, and to this day, that's my main setup.
Yeah.
So, that was a game changer. That's what they call them, game changer. What was my game changer? As far as playing, watching Kurt Bascara play back in like whatever it was, 91. So, but I can't remember your original question, sorry, but it was something that had to do with, I told you I got fired or something, and Chops, the Chops player.
Chops.
Yeah. So, you know, I was a Chops guy and it got me into trouble.
Yeah.
So I stopped, you know, and I remember reading an article, Jeff Porcaro interview, and he says, I hate drum solos. I just want to play music. And I went, I know, me too. And to this day, I hate drum solos. I love listening to a great soloist, though. When they can do it and it's musical, like Steve Gadd, oh my God, that's music to me. But, you know, Chops, because it's a drum solo, I'm not into, and I don't want to be that player. Call Steve Gadd, call Vinny, call all these.
Do you get yourself out of that if they ask you? Can you just find a way out of it?
Yeah, I can kind of fake my way. You know, I can fake a drum solo, but if I'm at a gig or something, they go solo, I'm like, nah, no thanks.
No, just no.
Yeah, no thanks. That's just me, you know.
I love that. I love that, and I also love this story, this idea of, like you said, going the extreme other way,
right,
and seeing how the other guys respond, because that's an interesting thing too.
Right.
How guitar players, bass players, like, oh, he's playing too much.
That's right.
And then all of a sudden you're just laying it down, and it's like, is there a problem?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
but it wasn't that nice. It was like, is there a problem?
Right. But it's that balance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and I'm still working on it. You know, it's like, when do you play? When do you not play? You know what I mean? It's like leaving space. It's a lifelong learning process.
This episode is brought to you by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform that makes it fast and easy to create your own professional website or online portfolio. For a free trial and 10% off your first purchase, go to squarespace.com and use the offer code DRUMS, all capital letters. Squarespace. You gotta love Squarespace. These people are awesome. The thing about Squarespace, they're constantly improving their platform with new features, new designs, and even better support. We've talked about the support. Squarespace is pretty incredible. Based in New York City, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Over at the Care Bear Lair, as it's known. If some people didn't believe me, you can Google it and check that out. They are definitely the Care Bear Lair. They're just great over there. Sometimes I'll just call them up at 3 a.m, just shoot the shit. I love the Care Bear Lair. They're nuts. They do a lot of, they eat the mushrooms. They're good people, okay? And they're experts on that too. If you sign up, you can ask them questions. I mean, they'll tell you what you want to know about ayahuasca and peyote and mushrooms. Sometimes I just find out how many caps and stems should I eat today. You know what I mean? They're just experts on everything. It starts at just $8 a month and includes a free domain name if you sign up for a year. And every design automatically includes a unique mobile experience that matches the overall style of your website. So your content will look great on every device, every time. Start a trial with no credit card required. Start building your website today when you decide to sign up for Squarespace. Make sure to use that offer code, folks. You get 10% off your first purchase. And that's pretty cool. Offer code is DRUMS, all capital letters. Remember, you can also connect to the Twitter, the Facebook, the LinkedIn, the Pinterest, the Instagram, Google, and many more web and social services. Wow. Those 20 tweets a day, you can find a way to work it right into your website, which is pretty cool. In e-commerce, lest we forget the e-commerce. If you want to set up a shop and sell things, you want to sell your t-shirts, you want to sell your hats, your visors, all that shit, you can do this in just a few minutes. It's easy. I love Squarespace. I just build a site sometimes just for the fun of it. I get bored, I go build a site. You know, even without the caps and the stems, it's still a lot of fun. We thank Squarespace for their support of I'd Hit That. Squarespace, everything you need to create an exceptional website.
You work with a lot of producers, a lot of guys. I mean, Lyle Workman. I mean, you work with guys like pretty consistently.
Yeah.
You get the callbacks.
Right.
If you were to just look at it that way, and look at the guys they keep having you back, what would you say is the through line of your playing? Like, is it because you keep it simple and...
Yeah, I inspire to be a song drummer as opposed to a drummer. Now, let me define that a little more. A drummer, I think, is somebody who only puts more focus on his drumming and parts and chops as opposed to... And they don't really prioritize the song. They're prioritizing what could be their transcription in modern drummer over what's right for the song. And I think a song drummer, my definition of a song drummer is that a song drummer is somebody who knows how to play the song, when to play, when to not play, and that goes for fills, that goes for crash cymbals. When do you play a crash cymbal, man? It's like, wow, when's the primo time to not play a crash cymbal or to play a crash cymbal? It's the simplest thing you would think, but it's so hard to know. You just have to listen. I'm not talking about, anything more than that. Where do I play a crash cymbal? Where do I play a small drum fill? How do I enter into a song? Do I play a hat fill? Do I play just a floor tom thing? Or do I just come in, bam, right on the one? It's little things like that. And you don't know, well, at least I don't know until I do it. And then it either fails miserably or it's the right thing to do and I look like a genius. But
are you often in a situation where you don't put the crash in, and then that's something that they ask for after?
Sure.
Like, hey, could you give me that change? Can you just give me one of those? So
exactly.
Like, do you get that a lot?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, it's a team effort when you have the artist producer or artist and the producer listening on the behind the board there, and then the drummer, me, just playing the stuff. I can't really hear the full picture because I'm so into just like trying to get a great feeling track, but they're listening to it as just music, and they're like, hey man, you need that guidance. That's one of the important jobs of a producer, is to have that guidance. And somebody like Laug Workman knows exactly what is right and what is wrong as soon as he hears it, and I trust him and respect him because he's such an amazing musician that I give him...
You mean even as far as just saying we need a crash there or we don't need a crash?
Yeah, totally. Don't play a fill there. That fill was great. Okay, cool. Or, don't come in there. Come in here. Maybe give me something, some cymbal work at the top and then come in here at the first verse. Okay, cool.
Right. And at this point, there's a shorthand and you just...
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, and a lot of the times we're both on the same page. And that's, great. Why it's great to work with people like that, like Lyle, because we've done a lot of work together, and we know how to work with each other now, and we're on the same page musically. It's like, yeah, of course, that's why it's so easy, Yeah,
it makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's a question.
By the way, I gotta say something, man.
Please.
You have no notes, nothing written down, and you're just rattling off these questions. I'm impressed, man. Very cool. All the my history and stuff. How do you remember that stuff, man?
Well, I've got a piece in my ear, and I got Kurt Pescara feeding me.
All right, yo, Kurt, what's up?
So let me ask you this. Now, your feel from... let's just go back to Jagged Little Pill. Mm-hmm. Would you say your studio touch and approach has changed a lot, or would you say not very much? Or
I'd say that what I've learned has been massive since then. I've grown, like I'm a whole different person since that, because I was 26. That was like 20 years ago when I did that record. So 20 years of hours, endless recording time, gig time, touring time, it's made me a better player. So I don't even think I'm the same guy. Sometimes I listen to that stuff and I go, I can't play like that anymore. Wishing I could, you know what I mean? It's like, it's just my own little hang-up.
What's different?
Like maybe just the ideas, or just how I approach something. It's like, oh wow, that's cool. It's just
like, I wouldn't have thought of that today.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just how it works sometimes. But
what about the touch? Has that changed a lot, you think?
Yeah, because learning how to record in a recording studio is different from playing live. If you ever seen somebody live, they're just bashing their cymbals really hard. Well, you can't do that if they're just using like room mics to record you with, because if you just bash those cymbals, it's just going to be all cymbals in the track. There's not going to be any drums. That's why John Bonham was so amazing. Like one of the many reasons he was so amazing is because what they use, like 4 mics on him or something like that. And if you hear those records, I don't hear John bashing the drums. I just hear, hitting the cymbals as perfectly as loud as they're supposed to be hit. It's not bashing them. And so anyway, he mixed himself.
I know what you're saying. Like guys who do Bonham, when you see them in a club or something, they're just beating the fuck out of everything. Yeah.
And John, since that DVD came out like years ago, How the West Was Won or whatever it is, he was bashing in the beginning, like 1968, that stuff at Albert Hall. He was bashing. But when you get to Earl's Court, Albert Hall was like 68, but in 1976 at Earl's Court, he's playing really relaxed and just kind of, even in Song Remains the Same, no quarter, he's and just barely hitting the drums or just letting the drums work for themselves. So that's mixing yourself. So yeah, my chit playing, I learned that.
So you think you were hitting a lot harder?
Definitely.
Way harder.
In the studio. Yeah. It has its place.
But yet it worked, obviously.
Yeah, thank God for great engineers. But even today, I mean, I still hit hard when it's appropriate. But it's like I said, going back to the room mics, or a lot of people use a mic that's very compressed, so that really amplifies the drums. So you can't hit them hard. Like Lyle, he does that a lot, and he's great, man. He's like, if we're playing a rock track, and when it comes to cymbal crash, I'll hit it, and he'll stop and go, that crash is too loud, just hit it a little bit quieter. Okay, it's because he's got that one cool mic juiced up with compression that if you just barely hit that crash cymbal, it sounds like I'm hitting it hard, but it's mixed. I'm not at all.
Right.
And those are the things, that's just one thing I've learned that I had no idea about when I was 26 years old. Even hitting the hat, just bashing the hat too hard. And it's like all hi-hat in the snare drum mic, which is a very common problem for recording drummers and engineers. They're like, hey man, that's why they put like maybe a piece of foam around the snare drum mic, is so they can do their best to isolate the snare drum away from the hi-hat. But if you just don't play the hat hard, even though, here's the trick, if it's a hard, high-energy song, you still have to be able to mix yourself behind the drum kit.
Yeah.
And it just comes in time. I'm still working on it, but I'm very conscious of it.
That's the thing. That's not something you could have really prepared yourself alone.
Nope.
No. Yeah.
You have to, trial and error, man.
Trial and error.
You go and listen to playback, and it's all hi-hat and loud. Why doesn't my drum sound heavy? It's because you're just bashing the cymbals, and you're playing the cymbals harder than the drums themselves. It's like, huh. How do I fix that?
Going back again. So after you say Jagged Little Pill, a year goes by, finally calls start coming in. Around that time, I think, is it Eddie Money, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Am I right?
Right. Richie Zito. He a great producer. What a cool guy. I call him the Al Pacino of rock because kind of talks like, this is my bad Al Pacino. Hey, he's a very New York Italian guy, and what a sweet guy. So yeah, he got me. I'm sorry, I'll let you finish the question.
No. Just that was it.
Okay. Cool, you fed me the line. I'm running with it. So yeah,
Eddie Mahoney.
Eddie Mahoney.
Isn't that his real name or something?
Is it really?
I thought he was an old cop and
he is. But I don't know
Officer
personally.
Mahoney.
Really? He's the Irish? Mahoney. That sounds Irish, doesn't it?
I don't know.
Oh, how perfect. I think he's from Philly too. Oh,
maybe I'm wrong.
That's the rock and roll story there. He was a cop.
Yeah.
So Richie somehow got in contact with me, and that was from the Alanis Morissette, credit, and so Richie, I can't remember because Richie also referred me to Phil Caffel, who was engineering this Alice Cooper track that I love. Man, I love that song. It's called Anyone Home. Is Anyone Home? Great song, man. But Zito also produced the Eddie Money track, and it was a Paul Stanley song that Paul Stanley from Kiss wrote with somebody else, which was a big thrill for me because I grew up loving Kiss.
Probably Desmond Child, right?
Something like that, right? So, but Eddie was there, and that was a thrill because, growing up listening to him on the radio.
Man. Come on.
And so, yeah, Richie was producing the Eddie Money track, and we did 2 songs, and there wasn't a vocal track. And this is great. I couldn't believe it. And I love. Okay, this is very important to me.
Okay.
Anyway, to play to in the studio, I love having either a rough vocal or some kind of vocal, because I play my time to how good the time is of the vocalist, and I know when to play a fill and when not to play fill, where to put a crash or not to play a crash, based on the vocal. So that's very important for drummers to know in the studio. It makes your life a whole lot easier, because if you don't have that vocal track, there's a whole lot of space, and you feel just naturally you have to fill that space up. But when they put a vocal on, it's like, oh my God, I played all over the vocal track. I'm stepping on the feet of the vocal track. So anyway, there wasn't a...
I want to stop you just to ask you, do you compensate then if it's the other thing where you don't have a vocal, do you go that other way and just keep it simple? Or do you...
Yeah, and then when I hear the vocal later, after it's been mixed and stuff, it's like, oh shoot, I could have played so much more musically had I known there was a vocal there. And that was the case for the Alice Cooper track. Right. I'll get back to that in a second.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's go back. Sorry.
But the Eddie Money track didn't have a vocal either, but Eddie was there. So I'm listening to my take, because we did a couple takes, and I went in the control room and I was listening, and Eddie was sitting right next to me at the board, and it was half, I really need to know where the vocal is, and the other half was, I wonder if Eddie Money will sing to me right now. So I asked Eddie as the song's playing, I said, dude, since there's no vocal track, can you just sing to me? So he leaned over and he's singing in my ear. Eddie Money's singing in my ear. I'm like, this is amazing. Eddie Money's singing in my ear. And I was like, okay, the drum track works. Because I had a question, like, you're kind of left, hanging out there all by yourself if there's no vocal track. That's at least the way I feel. Should I play a drum fill there? Like I said earlier, it's just, it defines the roadmap when you have a vocal track to play to. And it's, it's my crutch, the vocal track. I need a vocal track. So anyway, the Alice Cooper didn't have a vocal track, but luckily that track turned out great. But there's a moment or two in the song, having listened to it after the record came out, I went, oh shoot, if I'd known Alice was going to sing like that, I would have played like this. Like just a fill, So, but it turned out great. Only I feel that. Nobody in the world feels that after listening to the song. I hope not anyway.
Now, would you say a lot of these gigs, like you were saying, did it really come from the Jagged Little Pill thing, or does it really just come again from referrals, basically, like inside guys who just know, like, hey, call Matt Laug?
You know what? It's gotten to that point now where it's like, just call Matt.
Right.
It's not like, and they don't even know that I played on the Atlantis record. When they find out, it's like, oh, really? Well, that's great.
Right.
That was
like,
good.
He just told me to call you. I didn't know anything.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. In the beginning, it was all about the Atlantis thing, which I was totally happy about. And today, it's like, hey, I heard you playing Atlantis. Would you like to play on this song? Yeah, sure. Totally proud of it. I feel a little bit, because that was 94 we tracked it, and it was released in 95. I just feel a little bit embarrassed that I'm still like having to refer to that sometimes, but then again, at the same time, I'm proud of it. I've done other stuff since then that I'm just as proud of, but that record is so huge that it's the one record that people refer me to, and just kind of contradicted what I was saying there. But it was like, yeah, I'm proud of it, but at the same time, I'm very humble. I don't want to, feel like. Anyway, I'll just stop there. I'm very proud of it.
You work with, it goes on and on. Pat Benatar, right? Slash.
Yeah, that was fun.
How does that come about?
Man, that's a fun story. So this is way back when I was playing in those Manhattan Beach clubs. A friend of mine, the singer of that Manhattan Beach Club, said, hey, you should go to the Baked Potato, because there's like an all-star jam there, and the guy who used to sub for me at the beach clubs, Dave Raven, great drummer, is the house drummer, and you should go say hi to Dave. Maybe he'll let you sit in. I went, oh, okay. So I went down there, and the band they still play around town here. They're a great band. It's Dave Raven on drums, Alan Americatani on guitar, Teddy Andreadis on keyboards, and Johnny Grapark on bass. Now, Teddy and Johnny, the keyboard player and bass player, were playing with Slash and Slash's fun side project, which was all covers, called Slash's Blues Ball. So they would do gigs like opening up for Cheap Trick and Sammy Hagar, which eventually I was doing with them. But so anyway, I went down there, and Slash happened to be there in the crowd at the Big Potato. And so Dave let me play, and I played like 2 or 3 songs. And they were like, no, play some more, because I was getting up to leave. And I said, no. And then Slash walks up. And he goes, hey, man, nice to meet you. And I went, oh, my God, that's Slash. And so we played a couple of songs together, and after we were done at the end of the night, we traded information, contact information, and I was like, man, you're a great player. I love your playing too. It was a lot of fun. They're towing my car away. Anyway, so it was like about a week or two later, I got the call from Teddy Andreatis saying, hey, do you want to join Slash's Blues Ball? We got some gigs, and it's a fun cover band. So
what happened to the other guy?
The other guy was playing, Alvino Bennett, amazing drummer. He was playing with, gosh, I can't think of his name, but great blues player. So he was doing that at the same time with Slash. So he had some conflicting dates and he needed a sub. But unfortunately, they decided to stick with me, and I feel bad, but I didn't steal his gig, but it wasn't my decision. It was the guy's decision, and I decided to stick around. I didn't know Alvino at the time either. Had I known him like I do now, I probably wouldn't have done it, done the gig. And so anyway, that Alvino wasn't available, so they started using me. And I think Alvino was doing a tour as well. I don't know. But so they needed a drummer, so they asked me to do it. And 2 weeks later, or a week later, I was on a plane to Chicago with Slash and Slash's Blues Ball to open up for Sammy Hagar at the House of Blues of Chicago. And then we opened up for Cheap Trick, and then Slash the Blues Ball did their own little club dates. And from that, Slash decided to get serious and form his own recording solo project called Slash's Snake Pit. And he had a Slash's Snake Pit record and tour in 1995 when he was still in Guns N' Roses, but that was a totally different lineup. Since then, this was 97. He had quit Guns N' Roses at this point, and he needed to form another band.
So when you met him, he was still in Guns N' Roses?
No, I met him it was like 2 years after the fact.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, but his first incarnation of Snake Pit, he was still in Guns N' Roses.
Right.
And so in 1997, when I met him, we were doing the Blues Ball stuff, and then in 98, he asked me to join Slash's Snake Pit, his new version. And I was like, yeah, man, let's do it. And so Johnny Park was the bass player, and then it turned out to be Ryan Roxy on guitar, who's toured with Alice Cooper, still is touring with Alice Cooper, and Rod Jackson on vocals. And so yeah, me, Slash, Johnny, Rod, who am I missing? Ryan. Right, okay. So we all co-wrote the record together and released the record. We're on the road and opened up for AC/DC, which was the pinnacle of that band, that version of Snake Pit's career. And I remember getting the word that we just got the tour to open up for AC/DC, and I looked at Slash and I said, we got to get good, like, really quick. And that was a dream come true, man, because I loved AC/DC. Really quick story.
Please.
So...
Make it long, I don't care.
All right, but so great story is that back in, 78, I was 10 years old, and my mom and I would go drive around town to run errands with her. And that was back when 8-tracks were around.
Hells yeah.
So our agreement in the car, because she knew I loved music, was, well, Matt, I'll listen to one of my 8-tracks, and you get to, after I'm done listening to one song, you can put in an 8-track. So she loved, was it Anne Murray, Did You Light Up My Life? Was that Anne Murray?
Sounds like my mom. She was always playing Anne Murray. Oh, yeah.
So it was like, we'd listen to You Light Up My Life, and then, and at the end of that song, I'd pop in AC/DC, If You Want Blood, You Got It.
Yeah,
live.
Yeah, of course.
Hell Ain't a Bad Place to Be. That was my song. I loved it.
It's the jam.
So we went from You Light Up My Life to Hell Ain't a Bad Place to Be, and I'm 10 years old going, I've been listening to AC/DC since I was 10 years old. And so to get the opportunity to meet those guys and open up for them. And
did you get to hang with Phil Rudd?
Yeah, a little bit. And I got another great story for you. So we were so respectful of AC/DC. You go on at this certain time, we were on at that certain time. When you get off, we're off at that certain time. And they were so sweet. Malcolm Young, we'd watch them sound check, and Malcolm walk over the side of the stage, and we'd be at, sitting in the seats, and he would say, hey, come here. He goes, yeah, man, thank you. We would be like, thank you so much, man. We're having such a great time over you guys. He goes, yeah, is everything cool? Do you got everything you need? I mean, do you want some more, sound on stage? And I think we asked because it was we weren't getting sound checks. And he said, well, we really can't hear the sound, and all of a sudden the next gig we had side fills. The side fills weren't there before, but when we just happened to mention it to Malcolm Young, Malcolm made that happen for us. He put up side fills on the stage for us to hear, because they had side fills, but for some reason we weren't going through those or something. So he had a separate rig put up for us. It was unbelievable. So that's just an example of how cool those guys were. And he said this. He goes, you know what? When we opened up, we were opening up for bands like REO Speedwagon, man. They treated us so bad, and we vowed right then and there, if we ever have a band opening up for us, we will never do that to those guys, to our opening acts. And he remained true to his word because he proved it. So that's one story. But Phil Rudd hang. Okay, so we kind of, we'd see each other in the halls and see each other at the airports, and maybe at the malls, on the days off or before a sound check, or just kind of walking around. I'd see Phil. Hey, Phil. Hey, Matt. So I got word. We broke off. Snake Pit broke off and did a few shows by ourselves in Asia, and we were going to rejoin AC/DC later. So I got word through the grapevine that Phil was sick, and they had to cancel a couple shows. So I faxed Phil through the tour manager of AC/DC a little fax just saying, hey, Phil, it's Matt Laug. News travels fast. I hope you feel better. See you on the next leg of the tour. Thought nothing of it. Sent out the fax. I get home, and there's a message on my answering machine because the fax had my phone number. I think I wrote it out on my, I used to fax back then. It was like a letterhead that had my address, my name, and my phone number. Wasn't expecting anything, right? Just happened to use that letterhead. So I get home, and there's a message on my machine. Turn it on. Hey, man, it's Phil Rudd. Got your fax. Thank you so much. Yeah, I feel a little better now. And yeah, so everything's cool. So I'll see you on the next leg, man. All right, see ya. And I was like, oh, my God, Phil Rudd called me.
Do you still have that message?
It got erased.
No!
Oh!
No!
It was analog. Those little mini cassettes. It got erased.
No!
I know. I wanted to keep it. But I got it in my head. I'll never forget it. So, yeah, it was, so from 10 years old, listen to If You Want Blood, You Got It, to actually getting a phone call from, Phil. I love that stuff, man.
Did you ever sit or not? It just didn't. That didn't.
No,
happen.
I gave him a space. They're cool, man. They're very low key and very, and I just want to give them their space.
Sure.
All respect.
I get that. Believe me. I get it. But
there was times where this one time we were playing these arenas with those guys, 20,000 seaters, like the Staples Center or Madison Square Garden, those size places, and those places are usually round. So when the dressing rooms. We were in our dressing room to go to stage to play, and there's Phil Rudd, hanging, facing our dressing room door. His back's on the wall, and the door opens, and we walk out, and I'm the last guy to walk out, and he doesn't say anything to any of the guys, right? Slash goes by, and Phil's just standing there, and then I walk out, and he walks up to me, holds his hand out, and he goes, "Have a good show, Matt." And I went, "Thanks, Phil." And I walk around, and the reason why I said those venues are round is because when I got out of eyesight, when I walked around that corner to the blind side, I turned around to the bass player, and we were like, "Yeah!"
He acknowledged me.
Right, exactly. I had a great show that night. And then I would hear that, hey, man, Slash's guitar tech at the time was Adam Day, great guy. Adam's like, "Phil Rudd was out there again watching you play, man." Sitting, was on the side of the stage. I was going, "Oh my God."
That was what I was going to ask you. Did you get to just sit and watch Phil Rudd?
Every show. I didn't miss one show, dude.
Were you behind him? Were you like?
I was everywhere I could be. I was underneath the stage sometimes, and beside the stage, never near the drum kit.
Now tell us some things you learned.
Yes.
By watching Phil Rudd.
Phil Rudd, man, one of my heroes, dude. If not my favorite drummer of all time. That guy, the way he plays time, I wish people could see me, but I'll just try to explain it. When you're sitting behind a drum kit, I keep time on my left foot, bobbing up and down with my heel. I keep the front of my toe, this is really drummer geek stuff again.
Yeah,
but anyway,
yeah.
The front of my toe keeps the hi-hat closed, and the heel is up on my left foot. And I keep time by bobbing up and down my left heel without hitting the hi-hat stand so it doesn't make any noise. I keep time like that, usually eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and I'm bobbing up my heel up and down right now. That's how I keep time. Phil Rudd basically walks behind the drum kit. If a Phil Rudd groove, as we all know, is 1 and 3 on the kick drum, 2 and 4 on the snare, and 8s on the hi-hat. Well, he'll play 1 and 3 with his right foot, but he'll also put his left foot down on 2 and 4. So it's 1, right, left, right, left, right, left, and that's how he keeps time.
Are the hats actually
closed? Yeah. So they're
closed the whole time. In other words.
Yeah. Well, he keeps them very, very slightly open. When you
take your foot off, they don't
exactly. There's probably like half an inch.
Gotcha.
That's how he keeps them. So, but when he plays time, it's right foot, left foot, right foot. So his left foot's hitting the back beats, and his right foot is playing 1 and 3. And it's like, wow. And I tried that, and it feels so different. It feels so relaxed. And that was the main thing I learned from watching Phil. And just playing solid, great pocket. That dude's pocket's the best in rock and roll, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's a fucking machine.
Yep, totally.
Did you ever hear it, like, drag or speed up ever?
Not really. But I did see him drop a stick one time. It was in the song Shoot the Thrill, and in the bridge of Shoot the Thrill, it's a tom break with the guitar.
Yeah.
And then it gets bigger and bigger, more intense. Shoot Max. Whatever it did, and then it comes up.
Yeah.
Well, right before they got to that part where he stops playing the toms and goes back to playing the groove, his left hand may have caught some rim or something, and his stick came flying out, and you could hear him. I was at the front of the house, right? It was during a gig, and he screamed. It was like, no, I want 2, 3, 4. Ah! He picked up a stick and was right in there. Oh, and I was like, he's human. Okay, he's human.
So all that time, just
that one thing.
He once dropped a stick.
Yep, once dropped a stick. Yeah, exactly, man.
Once.
Yep.
Rudd.
It was awesome.
Now, who else have you seen? While we're there, while we're on that, like
Right.
I'm just thinking now. Who else have you got to be up close to?
Bunny Carlos, man, great. And I got the answer. For people who don't know, but I didn't know this. A friend of mine did an interview with Bunny a long time ago, and she called me up and said, "Matt, give me some questions. I don't know what to ask him." I said, "I got the question I've been wondering my whole life about Bunny. If you know Bunny's playing, he plays his right and left hand. If he's got his right hand on, I don't care, the crash cymbal, right cymbal, or the hi-hat, he also plays at the same time his left hand on the snare drum. So they're both in unison. So if you're playing 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 on the right hand, he's also doing that on the left hand, but he's accenting the backbeats on the snare drum. And it swings. I was like, where did he get that feel? And she asked him that, and he said, "Oh, that's from Dave Clark 5. That's how he plays." And I went, "Oh my God, there you go." And that is so signature, and that swings, and it feels so good.
Do you use that?
Yep. When it's appropriate, especially when I'm playing a Cheap Trick song. It's like I'm, trying my best to sound like Bunny. But it's such a difference to go from to
Yeah.
So awesome. So Bunny was great to watch. Who else? Anybody, man. Even they don't have to be a legendary drummer like Phil or Bunny, but I'm always watching, man. I'm always like going, okay, that works. I got that. I'm going to try that next time. I can't think of anybody, offhand right now, but it doesn't matter. I could be in a club. People that want to sit in, I let people sit in all the time because one, I need a break, and two, it's like I want to hear my drums when other people hit them.
Yeah.
In clubs, and then it's like, oh, that's great, man. I never thought about doing that. So, but aside from, big guys, legendary guys, and it doesn't matter. I love, watching drummers. I'm not really a drummer either. I don't perform clinics myself. I don't want to play clinics, and I don't go to clinics because it's usually just a drummer playing by himself or a lot of, notes and stuff.
Yeah.
I would rather go see a drummer playing a band.
Right.
You
hear music.
Yes. Yeah, I'd rather hear music, and that's kind of...
Do you get asked to do that stuff?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah, when I was working with Vasco Rossi over in Italy, they constantly were asking me to do clinics, and I said, no, I just not me. If you want to come see the gig, then come to the gig. That's the clinic.
Have you ever done one?
No.
Okay.
And they're done. So even years ago, I was a judge. Oh, my longtime friend who's since passed away, Steve Klong, great drummer, played with Wilson Phillips and a lot of other people. He passed away, but he was a Guitar Center Drumathon judge, and he got me in there, and he wanted me to go. This is years ago, and I was like, no, Steve, I don't want to do it. No, you got to go. So I went, and I hated it. You know what I mean? Not that I hated the players. It's just not my scene. You know, it's like I felt uncomfortable. So that's the closest I've ever come to being a part of a clinic. And of course, I just said everybody was great because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. You know, it's like, yeah, man, we all bring what we bring to the table.
But truthfully, you find it really boring to see guys just...
Yeah, to chops away, you know.
That doesn't impress you, right?
No. I mean, you know, it's like... It's just me, though. I'm not trying to say that that's a rule and you shouldn't listen to that kind of stuff or play like that. Just me, man. You know, I'd rather listen to Ringo play Help, you know, than somebody, you know, do a fusion thing, you know. But, yeah. So, no, I've never...
Another thing you did was the chorus.
Yeah.
Which is interesting to me because I mean, that was like a family, right? A bunch of sisters and brothers.
3 sisters and 1 brother, I think. That's the thing.
Did you do the whole, were you like, I mean, you weren't technically ghost drumming because you're credited, but was it like, did you do the whole record?
I did. I can't remember how many songs I played on it, but my good friends, Oliver Lieber and John Shanks, great record producers, man. And so cool. They're I love those guys. Anyway, so they wrote, you know, Oliver produced, I can't remember if they both produced it. We'll just say, I think they both produced it, but they also co-wrote the songs together for the chorus to perform. And I don't think the girl, the sister that plays drums plays on the records. At least she didn't do the one I played on. So I don't think I played on the whole record, but I definitely played on John and Oliver's songs.
Is it a really shitty thing to say? Like, I remember when that stuff came out and just thinking, like, there's no fucking way she's playing. Is that horrible to say? I don't know.
I just stating your opinion.
It's just like, there's no fucking way. There's no fucking way. But I probably never did the research into it.
Right.
But now I know.
Well, you know what?
It was Matt Laug on drums.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, but if you go to YouTube these days, it doesn't matter if you're a girl, boy, orange, red, or yellow, man. There's some amazing players that you would never expect.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, that's the thing I do on YouTube. It's like, whoa, man. Every once in a while I'll go to check out, like, a Steve Gadd solo, which I just love, or Steve Gadd playing with Eric Clapton, some live stuff, and, you know, just get inspired, and then there'll be some other suggestions, and I'll go, well, who's this, you know? And it's usually like this hot chick, you know, playing in her bra. I'm like, whoa, I gotta check that out, and it's like, Jesus, she's amazing, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, wow. You know,
oh, you know, I didn't mean that as a thing against
I know
drummer. It was just sort of the idea of like, I'm not buying it. This family of siblings and everyone's good enough to play on the record.
Play like that,
like,
right.
Come on. And she probably wasn't the only one who got...
Right, no, I don't think the other... it was just the singers that sang on the record. You know, whoever sang in the families, you know, in that
That's
band.
what I'm saying, but the chick bass player, for example,
probably
didn't
not.
play bass.
Exactly.
Right.
Man. So...
Yeah. Alice Cooper, again, going back to that.
Uh-huh. That was a one-time thing, and since then that was a referral from Richie Zito, and he showed up at the session. I don't think he was producing.
Is he related to Chuck?
Chuck Zito? Chuck Zito. Who's Chuck Zito?
Just kidding.
Is that a friend of yours?
No, isn't he like the bodyguard motorcycle guy who's like used to hang out with Mickey Rourke? He's like, you know what I'm talking about?
I know, but
he's
I
like
love
Howard Stern regular.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I love it, man. Ever since Howard went to
and there was other guy, Zito, who played with Fleetwood Mac, right?
Richie Zito.
Was it?
Maybe that's the same guy because Richie played guitar for Elton John years ago.
He did replace when Lindsey Buckingham wasn't.
Maybe.
They had like 2 guitar players.
Okay. But I know for a fact that Richie played with Elton John as a guitar player. I'm not sure about the Fleetwood Mac, but he's could be because he was a guitar player.
Yeah.
And so Richie referred me to Phil Caffell, who was the engineer, and to the songwriters who wrote this song. And Alice was on tour. He was in Buffalo, New York that day. I remember that. And we tracked his song. It was me, Steve Ferris from Mr. Mister on guitar, great guitar player. And man, if you ever get the chance to check out that song, it's called "Is Anyone Home?" and it's off the Fistful of Alice album, which is his live album. And they had this bonus track, which was a studio track, and we played on the studio track. It was me, Steve Ferris on guitar, and Lance Morrison on bass. It was such a pleasure. No click, just playing it down. We did 2 takes, man, and we were done. I remember Phil going, "Which take do you like?" I went, "I like both of them." So it's the song is great. That's another important thing. There's a couple important things. You can like delete like hours of this conversation, but just the two things that I've mentioned that I thought was important, you should really check out, in my opinion. And that is, oh my God, it just left me. Wow, that's terrible. I did the setup so well that I forgot the point. Digging 2 tracks. Oh, here it is. It really is hard to polish a turd. That's the quote. It really is.
Yeah.
When you have a great song, you don't have to do anything. All you have to do is play music. And you seem like you come across as being a genius. But it's not. You know, I've been complimented like, wow, you did an amazing job. I said, it's not me, it's your song, man. I didn't have to do anything. So in that case, Alice Cooper's song, you should really check it out. It's one of my favorites. The song was great. All I had to do was play, you know, and they, I forget who was producing. It wasn't Richie. I think it was one of the songwriters. And he was also one of the head guys at Hollywood Records at the time. So he said, Matt, for the chorus and at the beginning of the song, can you give me that washer machine groove? And I went, washer machine groove? He goes, yeah, you know, like, and this is a point of like some people don't really know how to convey what they're trying to say, but you have to be like to figure out what they're trying to say, and you put it into your playing. So basically, he was asking for that groove. Almost boogaloo.
The Keith Moon almost out of
Yeah, Ringo, Keith Moon. Exactly.
That kind
He called that the washing machine groove for whatever reason.
I have heard that expression before, but I couldn't either remember what the.
I had never heard that before, so I was like, uh-oh. And he just sang it like that. I went, oh yeah, sure, no problem. So, you know,
it's more the Keith Moon.
Yeah, that boogaloo skip beat.
But that's an interesting point you're talking about, because a lot of people don't know that stuff. I mean, I remember I've heard a lot. Like someone will say, "Give me a shuffle," but what they mean is a train beat.
Oh, yeah.
For example, do you get that kind of stuff a lot? Like,
here's a funny story. So I personally didn't hear this one, but this is one of my favorites. My bass player buddy Lance Morrison told me this one. He was told by a producer, I wasn't on the session, but again, one of my favorite stories was like, the producer said, "Hey Lance, give me that heavy 4 groove." And he goes, "Heavy 4?" He goes, "Yeah, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like, oh, heavy 4. But it's, you know, he's talking, it's 6/8, right? But you know, 1, 2, 3,
it's almost a
4,
waltz.
5, 6. Yeah, waltz, exactly. So he said, give me that heavy 4 feel. But he just wanted 1, 2, 3, 4. But on bass somehow, you know, boom, 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 or something. But it's like, but he just wanted, you know, just a heavier backbeat.
But this is something I'm saying you have to deal with a lot.
Exactly.
People giving you,
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you correct them, or you just leave
No.
it?
No,
never.
You just log it in your memory and go, I can't wait to tell my friends that one.
Right.
Like, you know, it's in 7. It's in 7/8. Yeah, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3. It's like, wow, you're right. It is in 7.
I like that. That's fucking great.
Wow, I never knew that was in 7.
You just leave it at that. Just
totally.
Say,
you don't want to, you know, yeah.
We're playing at 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. There's a couple more I can't remember really at the moment, but.
What do you have to have on a session?
A couple different snare drums.
What are the go-tos?
Right now, it's a 5x14 DW wood, custom wood snare drum. It's a very affordable drum. It's like $400, and for anybody, you know, and Guitar Center, and it's amazing. It's my first drum. That's what I start with. Well, when I go into a session, I listen to the song first, and then I decide which snare drum to use. And just last night, I used this 6x14 Jazz Series thin shell snare drum, and I tuned it way down and put all these moon gels, which is the muffling thing for the people who don't know out there.
Well, if they're listening and they don't know what it is,
that's true.
Go to another show. You know what I mean? Go to Modern Drummer, because this is not for.
True. Incidentally, Phil Rudd's drum tech back in 2000 turned me on to moon gels, because Phil was using moon gels, and he was the first guy I saw using those. I was like, what is that?
On all the drums?
Yeah, one on the snare, one on the rack, and they weren't cut because I usually cut them for different sizes. There's the one block, one on the snare, one on the rack, one on the 2 floors. And anyway, so yeah, so I just last night I used this nice DW 6x14 Jazz Series thin shell drum, tuned it way down, put all the gels on it. It was just like, poof, oh my God. You know, it sounded like a sample. All you had to do was hit in the middle of the drum and just bam. So, and that's another important fact. To get that sound, Phil Rudd, Steely Dan, Jeff Porcaro in the early days, or any kind of 70s like dry drum tone, don't hit rim shots where your stick is hitting the rim and the head at the same time. That's what I call a rim shot. Hit in the middle of the drum. That's why Phil Rudd plays and all those other guys I just mentioned. It's just, the tone of the drum is deeper and fatter. Now, John Bonham, on the other hand, played rim shots. Sure. And that's what I do too. I do 99.9% of the time I play rim shots. It gives that nice high cracking snare drum sound. But to get body and fat weight, go to the middle of the drum and tune the drum down and muffle it up. Like Stan Lynch from Tom Petty's band.
Yeah.
That's beautiful drum sound, man.
Also, I know
records so well and it's so easy to get.
Phil Rudd was saying, I remember once the idea of he uses a 5, not a 6.5.
That's right.
That's another thing people would think.
That's right.
He's using the 6. No,
it's the way he hits and the way the tune is drummed and muffled, and it's a bronze drum. At least on the tour I did with him.
Because I think now he's got I don't know what he's. Right. I mean, I don't know if he's playing signature series, all that.
Right, his own signature kit. Right.
I don't know.
It's a metal drum though. The snare is a metal drum, but he's always using the well in the 70s he used the Vistalites on if you want blood. That's a Vistalite kit. But I got tight with his drum tech, Dick Jones. That's his name. Mr. Jones is what I call him. He. Just through emails, I would geek out with Dick. And this is very important. I asked him, what snare drum... I'll wait for the playing, because this is important for everybody to know.
Yeah, this is good. Even I'm like... Oh.
Exactly. What snare drum did he use on Back in Black? For the record. I don't mean for our interview. I just mean the whole record of Back in Black.
Classic question.
And he wrote back, because I was emailing him. And he goes... I wasn't on the session, but my first tour with Phil was that tour, and I did find out what that snare drum was. 6.5 by 14 Gretsch with a black dot. Yep.
Gretsch.
And he even told me what size snare strands it was, but I can't remember. Yeah, a Gretsch. 6.5 by 14 Gretsch.
A wood snare.
Wood snare. I hear it, dude. I hear the wood, and a black dot on top. Which he kind of uses a white dot from his drum company. Was it Evans or something? I think he plays Evans. And it's like a white dot on top. Clear, but with a white dot on top. But this was a black dot. That was it. That was the drum. The snare drum for Back in Black. The record. Isn't that great? That's some juicy news, right?
That's really important to know. Are you kidding me?
Right.
Yes.
6.5 by 14 Gretsch. I don't know what series.
So you got to do that. You got to email with this guy, Mr. Jones, and just geek out.
Yeah. And he's so sweet. Such a nice guy. And we stayed in touch. It's been, since we did that tour, man, it's been 14 years, which is, oh, God, I hate thinking like that or hearing that stuff. Right. So, but, and then crew guys, we all stayed in touch, actually. We all traded emails, and I would get emails from the guitar techs, and I would get emails from Mr. Jones, and we'd stay in touch. Merry Christmas. Hey, Merry Christmas to you guys, Mom. It was a great tour, man. Great people, band and crew for AC/DC, and they still are. And the thing about AC/DC is that I went and saw AC/DC on their last tour, and Dick Jones got me a pass and a ticket to go see that tour back in 2008 at the Forum. And after the show, I'm walking to the backstage, and people from the crew recognize me because the lights are on. They're starting to tear down. Like, hey, Matt, the lighting guy's like, hey, so you cut your hair? I was like, yeah, I cut my hair. I mean, and that was 8 years after the fact. After doing the tour.
Yeah.
So
they're a family.
Yeah. And so I walk backstage and I'm in AC/DC's dressing room, and there's Malcolm and I believe Angus was gone, but Phil was there, and Brian was there. He was hanging out, and I remember Simon
Wright.
Simon Wright was there, and Phil, I don't know, he was just very quiet to Simon. He wasn't like say anything, and Dick Jones was there, Phil's drum tech.
Simon just hanging out.
Yeah, Simon was there, saw the show, and he's like, Simon was being very bubbly enough. Hey, Phil, hey, fucking guy, what's going on? Blah, 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 blah. So, and Phil's like, yeah, whatever. And like very cold. And then I'm standing there next to Dick, his drum tech, and Dick Jones goes, hey, Phil, before you leave, you remember Matt, right, from Slash's band? And Phil turns and goes, oh, hey, Matt. And he sticks out his hand. He's all warm to me. I'm like, hi, Phil.
Because you didn't take his job.
Right.
Simon, he's just like, yeah, whatever.
That's my feel I got from it. And I was like, oh, I don't want to be around for this. It could have been totally wrong, but he was like, just, how's it going? Yeah. But then when he was, oh yeah, hey man, how's it going? I said, hey Phil. It's like, woo. Anyway, so the point is that, I don't know what the point is, but it was a great show. And years later, after staying in touch, for so long, we can still feel, it still feels good to hear from them, and talk with them. The crew guys, I don't have direct contact with the band, but, actually, Adam Day, the guitar tech for Slash, was the guitar tech for Angus. Angus had 2 guitar techs, actually, and Adam was one of them for that Black Ice tour.
You would have 2 simultaneous guitar
techs?
Yeah.
Not
bad.
I know, I never heard that before.
Not bad.
And to have Adam Day on as a guitar tech, that's great, man. He's the world's best, And so anyway, that was so. Now he's part of the AC/DC family. So yeah, good people. Isn't that great to learn that AC/DC, we love those guys, we love the music so much that, the whole thing about don't get close to your heroes because you might be let down by that. Not the case with AC/DC, man. They're so cool and deserve every last drop of their success. They're such, and then you hear stories of like guys who aren't near as talented and not as successful, but treat people like shit. It's just like, sign of insecurity.
You ever meet Steve Jordan?
No. Oh, why? Oh, no. Next subject. Go, boy. Oh, did he do something?
Come on. Hey, come on. So, oh God, now I'm just lost. Where were we? We were at...
It's amazing.
We're kind of all over the place.
Yeah,
though.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. We're all over. That's what we do.
Right.
Any stuff that you haven't done that you're like, I got to do this. I mean,
play for AC/DC.
You don't want the Simon Wright treatment.
No, I don't, dude. No, and there's nobody, dude. I couldn't.
Where's Chris Slade today?
Chris plays at Pawn Shows every once in a while. That club in Manhattan Beach.
He lives here.
Yeah, I believe so. I've he's a sweet guy too.
He lives in L.A.
I believe so. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. What a great guy, man. Sweet guy. Great drummer too. Oof. His time on. I'm good friends with Tony Franklin, the bass player from The Firm.
Yeah.
Remember that band, The Firm?
The Firm.
With Jimmy Page and Paul Rogers. And Chris was the drummer. And Tony, the bass player, was telling me that they would track without a click, but they put a click on one of his tracks just to check, and it was like stayed through the whole song. It's like unbelievable. Yeah. And his stuff on the live AC/DC DVD of Donington, like 91 or something like that.
Yeah.
It's not the feel of Phil Rudd.
No, it's not.
But it's still like really good. And you listen to that guy's time. And even his approach is a little bit different. I mean, he actually plays ride cymbal. Phil doesn't have a ride cymbal, and it's just crazy. Like his time feels different, but his time, as in not slowing up or speeding down, is unbelievable. Like they have that fast punk rock song with "Let There Be Rock."
Yeah, I remember hearing that version from that, and it's very different.
It's very different.
But it's more machine-like.
Yeah, machine-like is a perfect way to describe it.
Yeah.
But you got to hand it to him.
And come on, the guy, that is him on Thunderstruck, right?
That's right. He's the recorded drummer on Thunderstruck. So a different feel, but it's still good, man. So anyway, Chris. So I don't know where he's at these days. So.
But there's nothing like where you're going, hey, I can do this, and I haven't had an opportunity to do, and I would like to do that.
I've had friends that play with Eric Clapton, and I don't know, he's like one of the last guys that a legendary artist that needs side guys to perform well, with, and his music is so great. I love his playing, and it's part 50% like ego, and for me, ego, to be able to be associated with Eric Clapton. Hey, I play with Eric Clapton,
Wow.
Right? And then the other 50% is I would love to be good enough to play for Eric Clapton.
Yeah.
So,
who's your favorite Clapton drummer?
I don't know, a lot of them. I just saw the stuff with Steve Gadd, and it was great stuff.
Gad's your guy. I can see.
Yeah,
he's one of the guys. Like,
yeah, totally. I mean, I don't think I own one record with Steve Gadd on it though.
And your tradish, you play?
No, match grip.
I noticed because every time you've done a little air drumming,
is it traditional?
The left hand is tradish.
Isn't that crazy? So I can.
Do you know that you do that?
No, but I kind of do actually because
you've been air drumming tradish.
I'm not traditional. No, I can't play like that at all.
At all?
Right. Only air drumming. So yeah, I guess because I think it looks cool, but I can't.
Yeah,
I can't do it.
It's totally. It looked like, oh wow,
that's crazy.
Got this
No.
Left hand.
Oh, thanks. It looks good. No, but no. You know what? I don't. Maybe there's some Steely Dan stuff that of course Asia or something like that. Yeah. But I don't go out and buy Steve Gadd because I know enough about it, on YouTube or through the years. And it's like, yeah, man, that's the guy. And but he's not really a rock player, so I don't want to be Steve Gadd. I'm more of a rock player.
I got you. Do you practice?
God, I wish. I should.
I mean, you're just busy, so there's no time.
Yeah,
right?
but I still need to practice. I would love.
If you could, what would you practice?
Time, playing time.
Just time.
Yeah, I think I would.
Metronome and.
Yeah, just play time.
Do you play 2 songs, or just to a metronome?
I don't know. Probably just to a metronome and just. Because I play the songs all the time. So I think because practice is practice. I don't think practice is making music. So I think, just playing along to a metronome and just playing and recording myself to a click.
Would you throw it on, say, what BPM, for example? We could say just 96, for example.
Right, yeah.
And then would you just play groove?
Yes.
Or would you try to...
I would work on stuff I know that I'm weak at, like slow shuffles.
Slow
and
shuffle.
Playing fills within a slow shuffle without wavering from, I would think I would do that. Yeah, you're inspiring me to go practice.
The slower stuff you're saying.
Yeah,
is
slower
the harder,
stuff.
Yeah,
and just play nothing. Man, it's so hard not to play anything. Just play straight time and don't do anything else. Because my brain starts to think. I start to wander. Like, should I play fill here?
Yeah.
I don't know. Should I play? Oh shit, I'm rushing now. It's like just get into that space where you're not thinking. And if I'm playing to a click and I feel that, then that's when I know I'm on.
Yeah.
And but I start to think when things are uncomfortable. But this doesn't feel right. I feel like I'm rushing, and that's when I start to think. So to work on stuff with a click, really, and it's usually slow. Slow stuff, slow swing stuff, slow shuffle stuff, and I would. I don't think I'd sit home practicing rudiments or anything like that. I would.
You don't do that.
No. Because in my world, that doesn't apply to what I'm hired to do and what I'm passionate about.
Your paradiddle doesn't need to be.
Nope, I don't. I mean, I know guys that know how to apply a paradiddle to grooves and drum fills and stuff, but no.
The speed of your single stroke rolls doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
No, I think I would just sit at home and my practice would be an extension of what I enjoy doing, playing in a live situation or in the studio. And it's usually just rock, anything with a backbeat, rock, country, pop, and just, I think I would try to start soloing just to see what it feels like, but no, I would just sit there and just, play time because that's what I get called to do.
Yeah.
Just, define that or refine that part of my vocabulary.
Your trick bag.
Right, exactly.
Man, thank you.
Thank you, man. This has been a blast, dude.
Yeah, man. I'm glad we did this.
Yeah, man. I listened to your show. I listened to Toss Panos' interview. I listened to Jeff Babco's interview. Great
sorry.
stuff. No. I am so thank you so much for including me.
This man, cool. I'm so happy we got to do this. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, man.
Matt Laug, ladies and gentlemen. Matt Laug. Check him out.
Okay, guys. Thanks a lot.
I did that. What? Do it.